What's up, Marvelites, and welcome to a brand new episode of the MCUExchange podcast. My name is Aaron. I'll be your host for this episode. Alongside me is Joe
Hello.
and Charles.
What's up?
This is episode 31. 31. Wow, we're way over the 30 mark. Yeah, and now just want to give a shout out first to our listeners, to our loyal listeners over at Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, Google Podcast, Breaker, and Apple Podcasts. Hello, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Please do follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/MCUExchange, and also head over to our website for all the latest news at www.mcexchange.com. Let's get right to it for the rundown of news about the MCU in the past week. First up, big confirmation here for a much anticipated sequel in the Phase 4 slate. It's been reported by Deadline that filmmaker Nia DaCosta, director of Candyman, has been tapped to direct the anticipated sequel to Marvel Studios' Captain Marvel. At last, the Phase 4 slate of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has now a complete roster of directors, right?
Yeah.
Because we have Kate Shortland, Chloe Zhao, Destiny Del Cretton, John Watts, and Chadwa. Charles, what do you think of this huge news and huge confirmation for Captain Marvel 2? You know, being Nia DaCosta have being this talented director, and also she's also directing the reboot of Candyman, and there's a horror element to it. And there's been rumored that Captain Marvel is going to deep dive into the Secret Invasion storyline. Do you think that DaCosta is the right one to helm this film?
I mean, just for the fact that Nia DaCosta is Jordan Peele's protege, Jordan Peele personally had for his Candyman movie. I mean, Jordan Peele, he's Get Out, Us. He's an Oscar-winning director. Just for that endorsement alone, sort of says how talented Nia DaCosta is as a director. I haven't seen her other film. She has an independent movie with Tessa Thompson. I haven't seen that yet, and obviously Candyman isn't out, so we can't really say how good she is, but we can only sort of trust the people that have hired her, like Jordan Peele and now Kevin Feige. That's very exciting. I am curious how she's gonna fit in such a very, very corporate, mainstream commercial project. Because with something like Captain Marvel, we know that it's gonna be Secret Invasion. It's gonna be sort of like an Avengers 4 kind of Avengers 5 kind of setup where Captain Marvel isn't going to be the only hero on the movie, so it's going to be interesting to see how she works with an ensemble, how she's going to sort of juggle multiple storylines, how it's all going to tie into Secret Invasion. We've heard that Captain Marvel 2 is going to tie in with like a Sword or Secret Invasion Disney Plus series. So there's a lot on her plate right now, and I'm very excited on how it turns out.
And Joe, same question. What are your expectations? And also, it seems to follow the trend of Marvel Studios hiring different filmmakers with different tastes. We've found it with Taika, we found it with Russo Brothers, and now what are your expectations for this hiring for Captain Marvel 2?
It's an exciting hiring because especially what we've seen from Candyman, it looks really, really well done, especially because it's such an iconic, also very, very culturally important film. So someone with that background, especially I think her other film, Little Woods, was a crime thriller. If she uses this experience, especially with like thrillers and horror, in a story like Captain Marvel 2, we expect it to be, she's flying through space, fighting, action sequence. And I think if they add this really special flair to that film to give it a distinct personality, to also kind of highlight, because that's, I think, one of the biggest issues with Captain Marvel is like she's a interesting character, but she's so overpowered that she falls into the same camp as Superman, but she doesn't have the same values. Superman is, I'm powerful, but I'll do the right thing. So with Captain Marvel, it's, I think, especially after the first film kind of introduced her coming into the character, what could she face that could really defeat her, or what could put her down? And we said, an emotional aspect. And I think if they go Secret Invasion with where she can't trust anyone, especially because, the Kree or the Skrull that she met, it was very obvious Kree were bad, Skrull were good, and now they're flipping the script, and that could be a really interesting way to highlight that aspect. And I'm curious, especially like Charles said, this is also probably going to be a big ensemble cast. So are we going to have is it a rotating door of, oh, here's Miss Marvel, oh, here's the next character, or is it going to be like there's going to be Avengers level threat at the end that they have to work together? It'll be really interesting, and I think this is a great casting for a director, because this adds such a new element to the franchise that I think it could really elevate it again.
Yeah. And what I notice about the MCU is whenever sequels are made, it elevates the character in some way. Like Captain America: The Winter Soldier did to Captain America. That film, that Winter Soldier film, is a political thriller. If Captain Marvel 2 will go in a deep dive into a secret invasion storyline, maybe we can see a psycho thriller sorts of film, right? Next up on the list is another rumor here from about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It came from the direct, but it actually came from a Patreon post from Daniel Richman. It says that the direct can confirm the existence of an official Marvel Studios casting grid, stating that the studio is now casting a Puerto Rican actress ages 12 to 15 years old for an upcoming movie. This casting is for the role of America Chavez, aka Miss America, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Joe, question for you is, do you think that it's wise to add a young hero like America Chavez to a big film like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Because we can expect a lot of characters here, because we're talking about the multiverse, right?
I think this has been rumored for quite some time, even early, probably when the early drafts of the script were around. This was already a big, crazy. I think how much time has passed since. And I think, I think it could work. I think America Chavez, especially with her connection to the multiverse and to the Young Avengers, it just highlights once again which direction we're going. And what I think could really work for this character is, with her ability, if she can actually go through that Doctor Strange thing, she just copies it from him, takes this ability, and lands in we don't have the 616 incarnation of the MCU, so the main storyline, the main timeline or dimension, and they could play around with that fact. Like the thing is that almost every Young Avenger member we're slowly being introduced to is pretty much a next generation of a hero. And the one I was always wondering about is like, okay, they're going to introduce Patriot probably for Captain America, but Captain America was passed on now as well as a character, so that's a very interesting dysfunction, let's say, because a lot of them were kind of passing on to younger generations, and Captain America passed it on to Sam. So I could see Chavez kind of having the Captain America role of being from a different dimension, so she has the fish out of water story. They could use her in that regard. At the same time, just great to see, first of all, the expansion of representation. I think Chavez is an interesting character to add. And I'm really curious, because if they're going through with all these different characters, this is going to be one huge Avengers team that we don't have a lot of Avengers left to teach them all.
Yeah, it's all about legacy, right? It's all about legacy now. It's a current, the overarching theme of Phase 4. Charles, how about you? What do you think is Miss America's role here? Do you think that it will be like a supporting role, as like previously rumored for Kamala Khan, or do you think that this is just more than just a glorified cameo?
I'll be honest. I honestly forgot that America Chavez was in the movie until I saw the report that they're casting. I was like, oh shit, I forgot about that. She's in the movie. If I had to sort of compare it to maybe another cameo or another appearance in a movie, I could see this being like I could see America's role being as big as Heimdall's role in Ragnarok, where he's sort of important to the story, but you're not gonna get 30 minutes of screen time with her, because you got Wanda, you've got Doctor Strange, you've got Mordo, you've got maybe Nightmare, whatever the fuck, whoever the fuck the bad guy is gonna be. So there's gonna be a lot of characters vying for screen time, and I think the screen time is gonna be given to the core Doctor Strange characters. I think Kamala is gonna be maybe, I wouldn't say a glorified cameo, but it's gonna be a key role as far as her powers are gonna be important to the progression of the story. But when you get to the heart of the story, the narrative, the heart of it, like I said, the core of it, it's not gonna be. She's not gonna be a big player. At least that's what I'm predicting. Like I said, think Heimdall in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, and what's important here is that it the character will be introduced in the film, so it paves the way for a huge role down the line, maybe in a future
Mhm.
Young Avengers team up or a Disney Plus series. I don't know. And now, next up is a very, very good news here for those who are anticipating updates and concrete information about Marvel Studios projects. It's been reported by Charles Murphy of Murphy's Multiverse that crew members of Marvel Studios have returned to work this week in Atlanta to begin preparation for the resumption, or in some cases, the beginning of filming of some shows. And I quote, crews for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, and Hawkeye moved back into town and got the ball rolling again on the three upcoming Disney Plus shows, joining the crew for the untitled Spider-Man sequel, which had previously begun prep work. The notable omission from the list above is WandaVision, but Murphy reveals that they continue to hear they have work to complete in Los Angeles. Finally, a solid update about what's really happening, in terms of the behind the scenes progress of these MCU shows. We haven't really heard anything concrete, right, Charles, about the development of these shows. It's all been rumors. All been I heard from this one, I heard from that one.
Yeah.
Do you think that with DC fandom upon us in the next 2 weeks, do you think that Marvel Studios will create some sort of announcement before or during that event, or they will wait after that event to get the marketing rolling for some of the films, like Black Widow again and or Eternals?
Like, didn't the CEO say that they plan to address the Disney Plus stuff in the conference thing they had this week?
Yeah, Investors Day. I don't know when will that be. I think next month.
But they
Or
said, but he said that they plan to at least
yeah,
address it.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't think
I
it's gonna
mean,
be. I don't think it's gonna be like a DC fandom fan event. I think it's gonna
no.
be one of those conference call things that we're gonna find out. Okay, it's gonna be everything's gonna be in 2021 now. I think it's gonna be
Mm.
more like that. It's not gonna be a big event. Um, yeah, that's that for the as far as what the roadmap is for these shows.
But I think Bob Schabik said, the CEO said that we can expect it sooner rather than later. So he did say that it's not like it's going to be a long, long wait now. So
Yeah.
I don't think if it's delayed, it's not going to be like April 2021. So I think we could expect it a little earlier because I think Falcon the Winter Soldier has been filming for a little bit, at least in Europe.
Yeah, and the good thing, I guess, the good thing with the delays is that all the special effects stuff, I think for the most part they've been working on that for like months now, even before they started filming the previs and whatnot.
Mm.
So I like to think that for the action sequence they have that at least almost finished. So we've been quarantined for like 5 months now or 4 months. So they've got 4 months to work on it, and by the time they film and wrap coverage and filming, it won't be long enough until they have it finally finished.
yeah.
Mm.
Joe, how about you? Your thoughts about this update of production restart for these MCU shows?
Um, I hope they stay safe. That's my main
Yeah,
concern, pretty much from the whole thing. It's still, the U.S. is still pretty hit hard, and I just hope that they do keep the measures. I think they have been talking a lot about how they're going to approach this. It's good to see that at least some life is coming back. We're going to see huge changes moving forward, especially with how long this quarantine and this whole Corona drags out. Like with what happened with Mulan now on Disney Plus, and I'm really curious to see what implications this will have, and especially how the filming will affect this. Most of the film productions, a lot of the money is borrowed money. That's why the budgets are as high as they are, and they're probably going to have to try to get their money back in some way or not. Disney Plus has the luck of they live off of the subscriptions. We heard in the one investors meeting that they have already 53 million, if I remember correctly,
yeah,
which is huge considering that was like their goal, I think, for the next 3 years or so. And let's be honest, as soon as the Marvel shows hit, those numbers could probably go up again. And it's going to be really interesting, if they at least try to keep that table, if they're more flexible, if they say, okay, we're not going to be as fixed because we just have to keep people safe. I'm really curious how long this will last and how this will continue forward.
Yeah, and as we all know, that Shang-Chi and Legend of Ten Rings already is gearing up for production, and it's been confirmed, in based on photos and even a news report recently. And I think
Hmm.
these shows and also the other MCU films can take a page from that film's playbook when it comes to expanding the health protocols and ensuring everyone's safety to further prevent a corona-induced delay of some sorts, right? And now, moving on to my favorite segment of the show. It's going to be the Shield Season Pass. The second to the last Shield
Woo!
Season Pass. This is sad.
Damn.
This is just sad. So we're gonna review Season 7, Episode 11, Brand New Day, which is a crazy, crazy penultimate episode, right? You know
No
that
deals with the devil, though.
yeah, whenever whenever you're watching a TV show, a TV series, that episode before the series finale, the season finale or series finale is full of cliffhangers and craziness, right?
Mm.
Yeah, and right now, and before we start, I just want to say that Fitz finally showed up. Yay! In 5 minutes of screen time. Son of
He's been.
a...
Oh, it's a flashback.
He's back, sort of, in a flashback. Okay, so just recap. Simmons has been kidnapped by Malik, Daniel Malik, and Garrett. They're in space. Okay, they're in space. And Odik is also there. And the team is stuck in a lighthouse with Korra and other Inhumans.
Mm.
But I have a question, Joe. It's weird because Garrett is in space, and he teleported to get Korra in the lighthouse. It's like a lot of miles away, right?
Mm. And he has his eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the true range of Gordon in the past episode of Shield. But anyway, you see, this is the emotional impact of this episode. After Giants that last week, we see Daisy in a top spot because she wants to get she wants to save Simmons, and then she has that adorable line that I want to have already have a sister. It's Gemma Simmons, and that's
That
you
was
see that the
great.
relationship of the character evolved, in the previous seasons.
Mm.
And what do you think of that? Of the Daisy and Simmons relationship getting to that peak of being called like a sisterly bond after everything they've been through.
I think it's a great tribute to last season. Some of the best parts of that season were when they were in space,
Yeah.
trying to find Fitz. Ha, recurring theme.
Oh.
But it's a great thing because I one of the best things about the show was always the relationship between these characters. They were pretty much the selling point for most of the time. Getting
Yeah.
these people together, seeing how they play off of each other, and especially this episode, they kind of highlighted how much they care about each other, and I think that's highlighted. Especially Daisy is the one who clings to this family the most. Because this is pretty much, she had no one. Then she met her family, and her mother turned out to be crazy. Her father, also crazy. And so Shield was her family for most of the time. And so, and there was just the joke, May was the mother, Coulson was the father figure, and it makes sense that Simmons was the sister. And this was just pretty much a nice, like, bow before the finale of the show, just to highlight that aspect once again, because I think their relationship in the last season was strengthened, and they never really talked as much about it up until this point. And so it was really nice to see that.
Yeah, it would be weird to call Fitz the brother. So yeah. Hmm,
Awkward.
awkward. And the thing is, we also had that exchange between Coulson and May. Like they're trying to contemplate. Okay, who's going to talk to Cora? Like when Coulson finally said, "No, that's not my job now. That's your job. I'm just a literal supercomputer now. Look at me. I'm hacking, all this stuff. It's your job to talk because you have that emotion powers now." Right? You see
Uh,
that shift in the dynamic. It's fun because I've been a fan of the show ever since the first season back in 2013, and I've seen the growth of these characters, and I love it. I love how
yep.
they gave tribute. How they showed it, not in a quick way, but through time in the past seasons. And speaking of that, Joe, what do you think about Coulson being an instant hacker, knowing computer codes and stuff like that? It's a fresh
I
thing
uh
around.
I think I kind of wish that the reason was that it was Sky. I still say Sky. After 7 seasons, it still slips out that
Just Sky too.
Daisy. Yeah, well, Sky was the hacker before Daisy turned into the superhero. But
Yeah.
it was kind of a little random. It was like, oh, he's a robot, so of course he understands it. There was no real reason. He still is a programmed personality, so why could he do that? I don't know. Maybe Chronicoms or this type of LMD just can do that. But I just wish it was like, Daisy just kind of programmed or taught him a little bit in the past, and because he's a robot now, he can learn it incredibly fast instead of just, oh, I know what it means somehow. I don't know. It's a
Right?
little bit of an easy out, let's say.
Yeah, an easy out. Like, let's face it. When Coulson was announced as an LMD, it's like everything is an easy out. Easy out. He has
Yeah.
powers. Even if he died, he has a hard drive stuck on a TV for a year and a half. Oh my god! And
That's
I can't
hilarious.
I can't wait to find out what's in store for Coulson after all of this craziness.
Yeah, the sad thing is that the setup at the end was incredibly done.
Yeah.
And it's getting, I like that this episode confirmed to them, hey, your parents are dead. You still have memories of your parents. Put one and one together, dudes. I think you're going to be fine. The question is, and this is a really good question, will they ever return to their own timeline?
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the thing that connects this whole series is that, I mean, it sounds stupid. I really hope we get cameos from some of the Netflix characters
Mm-hmm.
because they are technically part of the Marvel TV timeline. And
Yeah.
then I just want to see, like, in whatever this series is doing now, they reboot that timeline and it just ends with the original one. And maybe Kevin Feige laughing his ass off because he finally got rid of Marvel TV. That would be hilarious. But I feel like there's a whole point because time travel in this entire series is already complicated because if you go by the logic, they technically keep jumping. So like if you have a straight line that's the original timeline, they do a change. They went back in time, changed something, are in this new timeline, and then jump forward to change something else that it goes into another new timeline. So they're pretty much just stocking up these different timelines,
Yeah. They're
but they
creating
so
new
happen to
branches.
connect to them. Yeah, but they so happen to just connect to the branch of what happened before and push it into another direction.
And now let's dedicate a whole segment for this one. Finally,
Mm-hmm.
Fitz showing up in a flashback sorts. Uh, you know, uh, he's a sight for sore eyes. I haven't seen him
Yeah.
really. I thought when it was first shown, it was a scene from previous seasons. Like a conversation between Fitz and Simmons about settling down. What's happening, stuff like that. I thought that they would just do that flashback thing because they're in the memory chamber for Simmons. Then I was surprised that it was finally shown. They finally showed what really happened during the season finale of last season because it was really vague at that point. That like Enoch saying, "Okay, are you ready for this plan? Because this is going to be a bonkers plan." So and
Mm-hmm.
then we saw them last time. Just we didn't receive an explanation of sorts, and now here it's confirmed that they're working on that time travel thing for quite some time now, and they're
No.
trying to find a solution to this chronic chaos. And do you think that I know something tragic has happened because based on Simmons' reaction during that, I think they're in the time stream, right? They're inside the time
Yeah.
stream because that's a similar setup between Coulson and Sybil. But I think he could still be alive, and hiding somewhere in the universe. There's one theory I read online that maybe Fitz and Simmons had with so much time they had building that time travel equipment to the Zephyr. I think they had a family of some sort, like a daughter or the Deke's parent, right?
Yeah.
maybe Simmons doesn't want to leave them. That's one theory. Or another theory is that Fitz might be gone and might be stuck in a time stream, which is sad. What do you think, Joe?
Mm. If I remember correctly, there was a line where she says something about her blood test.
Blood work.
Blood work.
Yeah.
So I think she's actually pregnant right now. They did tease, like, that was the one we all expected, is that they did tease, oh, they had their life, they lived it fully. We don't know where they were. They seem to be pretty safe. But like the fact that Enoch would even kill Simmons so no one would know where Fitz is.
Yeah.
Why would she do that if he's still alive? Or if he's still physically alive?
Yeah.
And because I don't think Fitz would allow that. In any way would he allow that to happen. We had the theory last week that he's probably the reason this time stream works at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I don't think he's physically anywhere. I think he might be, like, he had to sacrifice himself on a metaphysically level to control the ship, because maybe the fact that he's the one who places them somewhere is correct, but he's not actually, like, physically doing it, like traveling through time and putting sensors up, but more like that he might be the time stream itself that they use.
Yeah.
That maybe his heart or his brain or whatever they needed is inside that machine.
I was supposed to point that out, that Fitz is the time stream. Like,
he's the Time Lord. He's British.
Yeah. Doctor Who. And if you look at it closely, while you're talking about it earlier, I came to realize, if you look at it closely, if it's a big if Fitz is the time stream, what happened to the time stream the past few episodes? He's acting the time stream's acting different, right? Acting abnormal in a way. And maybe it's Fitz trying to warn the team, but he can't do so because he's a time stream. And they can't figure it out. Only Simmons can figure it out. And I think there's a line, Joe, in the past few episodes. It says, I may be wrong, but Simmons is the only one who understands the time stream.
Yeah.
Right? So that kind of makes sense.
It builds up the connection of why she understands the time stream. Maybe he works by his own laws and was affected by, like, maybe he's the reason they were even in a loop. Otherwise, they would have just died to Stripe. So he tried to protect them that way, and he knew they would get out.
Yeah.
It's an interesting theory, and I'm very curious, because the thing is, it would be so easy just to say, oh, he's somewhere. Like, that doesn't look, after all these seasons of Fitzsimmons never getting together or always being, like, this close to death, I don't think they can do that forever. as sad as it is.
Yeah. But I really hope that he somehow shows up during the present day. I mean, not the present day, the present timeline of them trying to win the fight against the Chronicoms, because that's a ultimate payoff. You've been teasing Fitz all season. Just have him help the team in a way.
I mean, they literally say that he's the reason the Chronicoms lose.
Yeah.
Like, that was the one thing in common where they always lose. So maybe there's, like, a part of him that's alive to keep the connection between the time stream. That could be, that could be. And so that's why they're looking for him. But now that, the ships just showed up, they're kind of going to a different plan by destroying every shield facility.
Yeah.
It's odd. I have to respect the show. I have no idea.
Same.
We've been good at going.
We've been running theories, speculations the past few episodes of the season pass, and we couldn't get it right on the Fitz situation. I just hope, Joe, that it will be a satisfying explanation. At least, right?
I hope so too. Yeah, definitely.
Not an easy out. Please, God, no. Not an easy out for this Fitz reveal, Fitz tease. I just want a satisfying explanation. Okay, if he's dead, explain to the audience why. Like, give us a recap of some sort of what really happened, because in this latest episode it only showed glimpses of what really happened, not the full story. We need that full story. And given that this is a 2-hour season finale, at least dedicate like 15 minutes or 20 minutes of explanation of what really happened to Fitz.
A part of me really hopes that the series finale gives a lot of time to the. I don't want it to just end on these action sequences with like a short thing. Yeah. I hope we get some time for a farewell with these characters, because the agent's farewell or something, some good tributes.
Spies Goodbye
works together. Exactly. Thank you. Spies Goodbye. That something a tribute to that. I think because that was one of the most emotional episodes.
I cried during that.
And that was a heavy scene. Just imagine, like I'm still kind of tending towards this theory of these characters landing in the main timeline where the films are, and the only one who's himself is Coulson because he's Coulson.
And he's an LMD, of course. Like during the time loop, it was already teased that whatever happens to the timeline, I still remember everything.
Dude, I want Coulson to return. So that's still the big.
So you want Coulson to return?
I hope he returns. I mean, he's such a mainstay of the franchise. I really hope he stays.
Me too. And I love his charm. I love his calmness within the heroes. Well, except Captain America because he's fanboying. But outside of that,
I think we should do a top 3 characters and reasons why we want these characters to stay in the MCU. Like if we had a choice, if we had any say.
Yeah, we can
and
set
even
that up.
Give a reason how, depending on the ending.
Yeah, and for those tuning in right now, guys, next week we're gonna wrap it up. We have a very special Shield-centered episode that me and Joe are gonna talk about the show's greatest hits, and we're gonna break down the series finale. We're gonna break down everything what happened, and we're just gonna give our top moments of the series as a whole, and we're gonna talk about it next week. So you better tune in. Right,
Shield-a-Palooza.
Excited? Yeah, Shield-a-Palooza. Yeah. I love that.
It's the last episode, the name for the next episode.
Okay, let's talk about the preview of this. This is a very intriguing preview. The promo of the next series finale, because one of our former writers of MCUExchange, Cooper Hood, who now writes for Screen Rant, he pointed out that in a tweet, he pointed out that Robbie Reyes. A silhouette of Robbie Reyes and Daisy's dad can be seen in one of the blink and you'll miss it seconds of that promo. I think
it is. Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. He Cooper tweeted it several after the episode, and and I think that for me, which is my opinion, I don't know if I'm correct or not. I think they're gonna copy Endgame. Bringing everyone back, like surprise cameos from this, like we know that Robbie Reyes can open a portal, right? So, right?
Yeah.
Maybe one final blow, because as we all know, in the past, this series finale, this 2 sets of episodes will be CGI heavy, so there will be a lot of powers here. There will be a lot of amazing effects. So I think that there will be surprise cameos, maybe from Deathlock, because and also for Robbie Reyes, because it's already there. Like it was you can watch the promo, guys. You go to YouTube and search the promo of the next week episode, and it's a shot. And Daisy is just standing there, and there's a silhouette of her dad and Robbie Reyes standing behind her.
Yeah, I see it right now. That's
right?
True. It looks a lot like him. Yeah.
I don't know if that's an hallucination, because come on, it's a series finale. The hallucination is an easy out. Just bring them there, and that's a well kept secret if that ever happens. From Bobby Morse returning, from from Hunter returning, even Grant Ward joining the good side. I don't know, but
it's the one from the what was it called? The good version of him that they actually mentioned in the episode, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and if you're going to satisfy all the hardcore fans of the show, including me and Joe, you have to have that ultimate payoff of showing not just the greatest hits, but the long list of characters that had an impact on the show for one last time. So before we end, Joe, I just want to ask you three things that you want to see in the finale. You start and then I'll follow with three things.
All right.
All right.
Three things. First of all, I want them to just say what's going to happen to these characters. Some kind of tease of what this, if there's any implications moving forward. This still is part of the MCU in some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, just more. I would love to see more cameos. I'd love to see a lot of these characters from past seasons return. Yeah. Bobby, as you mentioned, so I really hope we get to see more, because I have to say it's been a surprisingly sparse amount. I was expecting a few more, so I'm really hoping to see, like, it doesn't have to be an Avengers Endgame style thing, but at least like these quick cameos, moments, or even just like an ending of seeing what happens to these people's lives after this series ends, because to be honest, this might be the last time we see most of them.
Yeah.
And thirdly, just tell us what happened to Fitz.
Yeah.
Give us Fitz.
That front. All right, my turn. I had three things I want to see in the series finale next week that airs on Thursday. I think Thursday our time, Wednesday on the US. First off, yeah, I agree. Cameos. Come on, guys. This is a series finale. It's a 2-hour big finale, huge finale, massive finale. I just want to see at least a cameo, like, from the show's greatest characters. Robbie Reyes, of course, on top of that list. Deathlock, Mockingbird. Ida, yeah, in some form. And also Triplet, maybe. But and the next one is, I think, address the MCU continuity, like the MCU. The MCU elephant in the room? The MCU in the room. MCU elephant in the room. I address that in a way that, okay, we are in a separate timeline from the one that has the Avengers. Just like that. Maybe, just that concrete confirmation, definitive confirmation of what's really happening. And lastly, please don't, because in the original series finale in season 5, they tease a new Shield team with Mac leading the way, and they're heading to space to find Fitz. Please, don't leave us hanging for that, because we know that we're not going to see them. At least, I mean, we're not going to see Agents of Shield again as a show, but I think we're going to see other characters. Maybe that's a long shot, but at least don't end with that piece that us wanting more, because I think this is the definitive end, and you've been teasing that this is the final mission of the team in the past 7 years. Final mission, one last time. How about you, fans? What are your 3 most anticipated things to see in the series finale of Agents of Shield? Also, what you don't want to see in the series finale? Please do tweet us over at twitter.com/MCUExchange. You can also follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/AaronChino. That's my Twitter account. You can give your reactions, give your questions, or give your thoughts about what we've been blabbering about in the past hour to that. You can also follow Joe on Twitter.
You can find me as @thatabel, THATABERL.
You can also follow Charles on Twitter.
You could follow me at CFS Villanueva.
All right, episode 31 is in the books. Stay safe, everyone. Until next time.
Bye.
Until next time.
Bye.